Well, welcome everyone back to the White Sands Self-Care Community, where we are your resource for education, connection, and collaboration. And I am your host, Laura Cross, and I am excited to have you meet Elizabeth Terry. She is a powerhouse of passion and purpose. And as a proud Jamaican, Liz embodies the spirit of transformation through her unwavering commitment to healthy living, spiritual growth, and the mantra of being the change that you want to see. She has a rich background in human resource development and project management, and she dove deep into the world of neuro linguistic programming and positive intelligence to ignite her own journey and personal transformation. Liz, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Laura. It's a real pleasure.
Oh, yes, and she is coming to us from Jamaica. So,
Yes, Kingston, Jamaica.
Kingston, yeah, I love that. That is on my live list to go to.
Yes,
So,
for
Liz, can you
sure.
tell us what inspired you to make that leap from a successful career in human resource development and project
Mhm.
management to focusing on personal transformation through NLP and positive intelligence?
I always had this desire to help people maximize their potential, no matter what I'm doing. It was sort of an inner drive. I discovered training when I was in my early 20s. I didn't think I really had the whatever it took to be a trainer, but somebody saw it in me, my boss, and she sent me off to a training course to become a trainer for the small hotel that I was working with. And would you know it, they decided that I did well enough that they sent me on an advanced course. And that really started I guess, my love for helping people to grow and evolve and just be the best they can be. And that was, yeah, quite a few years ago, a couple decades at least,
A couple decades.
Yeah. And I'm still doing it.
And you're so young, so you have a couple of decades
That's
more.
right.
You're just getting started. I always tell people I'm just getting started.
Yes, I kind of feel that way, actually.
Yeah. So, can you share maybe a transformative experience or story from your journey that illustrates the impact your work has been had on individuals or organizations?
Very recently I did a program. Actually, this was for an organization in the financial sector, and I was doing leadership in customer experience, helping people to sort of reset their mind around service. And to do that, I use as my basis positive intelligence. I'm also a certified positive intelligence coach. And I believe that anything that I am training in, it all starts from the inside out. So I expose them to certain aspects of positive intelligence, which really is about how you can, maneuver away from your sabotaging tendencies
Mm-hmm.
and shift into what we call the sage brain. And so I shared the assessment with them, and they got to kind of familiarize themselves with their particular ways that they self-sabotage. And we did a little bit about service and so forth. It was a very compressed training. And I was so very pleased to hear about a month or so later that the HR person came back to me and she said, Liz, one of the people, and in fact, not more than one, but this one in particular, she said that she had been dealing with a very difficult situation, and she decided that she was going to use some of the tools I had shared with her. And she was really amazed by the difference it made, not just for the other person, but in how she was feeling. And I felt like, oh, okay, that's good. It was only less than 8 hours together, but it did have an impact. And of course, there are individuals I've coached because I do individual coaching as well as group training and coaching. And I have seen light bulbs turn on and people begin to recognize that their reality is subjective. And if you can learn how to use your mind in a way that is going to shift you towards what you really want in life and keep it there, then you can have true transformation. So it
Yeah, and that's
really
the
is,
trick, isn't it? To focus on
yes,
what you truly want because life
exactly.
continually throws things at us that just
Oh,
We
for
derail, we
sure.
forget what we're doing, and we just, yeah.
Oh, no doubt about it. I mean, it happens to everybody, including myself. There are things, that crop up from time to time, and you really have to catch yourself. And I've often said to my friends and family, if I had not been using over the years these tools and techniques as well, and along with my spiritual, metaphysical approach to life,
Mhm.
then I don't know. I wonder if my head would still be screwed on.
It's the nice thing when you keep learning and you can actually learn and grow from it rather than keep repeating the
The
same mistakes,
same.
which so many people do.
Yes, yes, yes. I always say, make mistakes, but for God's sake, don't make the same ones.
Yeah, hopefully we learn.
Yeah.
How do you blend all that together? And maybe you can tell people a little bit more about, because not a lot of people may have heard the term NLP or neuro linguistic
Mhm.
programming, but they don't know exactly what it
What
is.
it means. Yeah. So NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, really, I say it simply this way. It's a toolkit for the mind. It teaches you how to use your mind to get the desired results. And so that is a synopsis about it. So how do you use your mind? Nobody teaches people how to use their mind. We go through school, we go through university, and we're just on a treadmill, most of us.
Yeah, we cram it
And
full of stuff, but
yeah. And so then, we recognize those of us who are interested in our own development, and especially when you have repeated challenges in your life and you keep on seeing the same pattern. You say, oh my goodness, I mean, something must be up here. Let me see if I can find some way to avoid doing the same thing and getting the same result. And so NLP teaches you like how do you take in information? How do you process? How do you store it? How can you retrieve it? And just it's in fact, some people call it the GPS for goal setting. So it is very, very helpful in a number of areas, that being one. Also in the area of communication, that's also there's some very powerful tools there, rapport building, relationship building. So I have learned a lot through learning it myself and then teaching it to others and using it in my coaching practice. And the other aspect of what I do more recently is through positive intelligence, which I think the easiest way to explain it is really it helps you to appreciate how you can not just learn about emotional intelligence, but actually gives you the toolkit to build new neural pathways. Because, every habit that we have, especially, unconscious habits, they just are triggered automatically. And positive intelligence, when done repeatedly over a period of time, 6 weeks is the foundation program. It really helps you to build new responses to challenging situations. So that instead of, being triggered, for example, by your boss, when he looks at you and you see that face, it's like, oh my God, what is he going to do? And immediately you get into some kind of sabotage mode. And then instead of that, you can learn that no, I do a PQ rep and I am able to shift into sage thinking. So PQ reps is sort of like akin to when you go to the gym
okay.
and you have to, you lift
Yeah, the
weights,
repetitions and sets. Yeah.
exactly
Mhm.
right. So the PQ repetitions are a type of mindfulness exercise to bring you back into the present. We have maybe about 60, 70 thoughts per day, and the majority of those thoughts are about the past or about the future. And very few are really rooted in the present and what's going on right now. And we miss the opportunities because our power lies in the presence.
Yes.
The presence and the present. And when we are aware of our presence and our energy, and we are able to shift into a sage mode, then we have access to sage qualities. And the first one is empathize. That sort of encapsulates a number of different sorts of qualities like appreciation and thankfulness and just grateful for everything. The second sage power is explore. That's putting on our curiosity hat.
Okay.
How many of us have forgotten? I mean, as children, we were super curious. And in fact, in Jamaica, we have a word for that. We call it, you're too fast.
Yeah.
So, but when we have things like curiosity kill the cat, which, obviously sees it as a negative thing, but we see it as something really positive because it's about awe and wonder. It's about questioning and finding out more about situations instead of just coming into it with assumptions. And how many of us assume and end up, feeling quite stupid. And so there are others. I won't go into all of
Oh, and
the
if we've been into school, we know how to break down assume.
Exactly.
That's what that leads to.
Quite so.
A lot of us have had it in school. I will say probably not all of us, but that is kind of how you break that down as far as assuming.
Of course. Yeah, so we tend to give curiosity a bad name, but in the sage world, it is actually good because it is through curiosity that we learn. That is what really drives us, yeah. So those are just a few of the kind of sage qualities, and so the PQ rep is a mindfulness exercise that brings us fully back into the presence through focus on your sensory organs, meaning your sense of touch, your sight, your hearing, and so forth. And that has the power to intercept your sabotaging tendencies and to allow you more access to that sage brain.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some common challenges that you see in individuals and organizations that they face when it comes to personal development, and how do you help them overcome that?
Well, I think one of the biggest organizational challenges we have right now is just the volatility and dynamism of the environment that we live in. And organizations, I think, are struggling with how to continue to harness the creativity and the good ideas, engage their employees, for example. There's a high degree of disengagement, especially with the new generation coming in. They're looking for different sorts of things to the baby boomers who would stay in a job for, maybe all their life. And retire. I mean, my father stayed in one job and retired, 45 years later, and got his gold watch and whatever. And he was happy. Nowadays, that doesn't work. So being able to deal with the new demands of the workforce and, the more purposeful and value-driven ideas that some of the Gen Zs and millennials come to the workforce with. So that's a big challenge. So it's a change and that. And, whenever we're faced with anything unfamiliar, then we automatically go into survival mode. Yeah. And that shuts down immediately our creativity. So as, organizations are really made up of individuals, it's the same thing with individuals, So something is challenging you, something is different, and immediately you want to kind of back off of it. Fear, drives our fight, flight, or freeze response.
Right.
And then that shuts us off. It shuts down a lot of our sage thinking. So it's how to really get people to own their own power, to recognize that they are not victims, they're victors. And no matter where you find yourself on that spectrum, there is always more for you to discover about yourself. Your real power is, in fact, you. I mean, my mantra for my organization is, changing minds and changing lives. And so I really believe that we're not fully tapping into our potential biologically, quantumly. We are so much more powerful than we believe we are. And as we say here in Jamaica, believe, kill, and believe, cure, you know?
Yeah, I would have to agree. And it's like, there's so many things. And I don't know who even comes up with all these names for the different generations, but there are serious generation gaps, from baby boomers, Gen X,
Yes,
and then I think millennials was next, Gen X, Gen Z. I mean, we've got Gen Y. But the thing is that, they're growing and they're evolving. And I've seen a lot of the older generations get stuck and think that the new generation is just lazy because they
yes,
were taught to work themselves to death, basically, stay in the same job, whether you're happy or not, because you stay
correct.
loyal and committed. But the thing is that the younger generation sees their parents coming home
Yeah,
tired, stressed out, not enjoying it. And no, they don't want to go. They see
yeah,
different ways. We have
yeah,
technology, we have so many different things. In some ways, I think it's working smarter than harder. But
absolutely.
yeah, I don't know that it's probably still going to take a while, wouldn't you think, to try and help close that gap up because there's still a gap. It may not be as big as it used to
Yes.
be, but there is still a gap.
Yes, there absolutely is. And you're so on the money. This idea that my parents did it, but I don't have to. I look at you and I'm like, oh my God, I do not want to go there. And so they're looking for more, purpose. They're looking to really be able to grow and evolve in an organization. And they generally want to work with an organization that is more than just profit.
Yeah,
It's planet and people in the equation as well. I think that COVID had a good and a positive effect as well as a negative, right?
right.
My view, and I kind of call it the Great Reset. People began to really, even some of the baby boomers,
Hmm.
rethink their lives. Some took early retirement. Some decided, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm really going to go after my passion. And I believe that we are at a sort of tipping point almost in the world, and people are becoming much more concerned about what they're doing with their life. It's not just, the bump and grind
Yeah.
anymore. It's, I want to make a difference. I want to feel good. I don't want to come home exhausted and too tired to even, have a conversation with my family.
Yeah,
No.
because if you're an entrepreneur, that's so opposite of what you're trying to do anyway. Most of us go into being an
Yes.
entrepreneur so that we can spend more time with our family, have our own time and stuff back. But even in that
Yeah.
world, you can get lost and so involved and caught up in a rat race that you're doing the exact opposite again.
Yes, yes. And, I give thanks. Some people are a little bit concerned about AI. And of course, with everything else, AI can be used for good and for bad. Just like people thought television could have been a really terrible thing whenever it was introduced. I can't even remember when, but it's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah. And so I look at AI, and as you were talking about saving time and
Hmm.
and being able to be working smarter, not harder. I really do think that the technology is allowing us more and more to focus on the higher level and higher order thinking rather than just the more routine stuff, and making it easier for us to do that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
can be a time saver. And like you said, it's like anything. Everything has a good, a bad. You can use
Oh,
it
yes.
the wrong way, the right way. You can find a good and positive, I think, or a positive and negative about everything, pretty much.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
so you've gone even a step farther though, because you launched, is it called Una,
Oh no.
right?
Oh no.
Una. Uno.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
It's what a personal development, it's a program, but it's also a game app, right?
Yes, it is. And just let me say that ono is
Yeah.
actually from an African word, and we have used it here to mean you plural. So we would say something like alla uno. So all of you plural. And I decided I kind of liked what that meant. And I decided to use it because the app itself uses Jamaican culture and integrates that into the scenarios, into the some of the language, the music, and so forth. So it is a sort of personal development curriculum, if you will, for young people between the ages of, I would say, about 14 and perhaps as old as 18. And it deals with a number of fundamental areas. The first module is called Una Can Win, which is, of course, more about you as a young person, an individual, teaching you a little bit about your mind, for example, and all the different aspects of it, and how you can begin to just be more self-aware. So it begins with that. And the second module is Going for Gold, which is, as the name suggests, it's about vision for yourself and goal setting, how to be more resilient, ensure that you are actually able to not just set a goal, but to achieve it. Your values, aligning your goals with your values and so forth. And then the last module is One Love, One Heart. And that is about relationships. It's about you being able to be a better communicator, being able to manage difficult situations with other people, including things like bullying, conflicts, and also your communication connection with your community. And it ends actually the program with a give back project, which in a class situation, you would break the students into groups and they select a give back or voluntary project for their community of choice. And this could be something quite simple, maybe working for a little while with seniors at the senior home. Perhaps it's doing a stint to feed the homeless, painting the sidewalks, cleaning up, doesn't matter, just something that they do together as a group. Right. And they do it as a volunteer activity, because I do believe that it is something to be encouraged with our young people. And it's the kind of principle that we want them to take away from it. So it has a bit of a game, sort of role play game at the top and tail of each of the modules. And we try to make it as fun and as engaging as possible. It's individuals and scenarios and sort of interactivity in the course of it. And institutions, schools, any youth-facing program actually is the subscriber. And they then register the students for it. So there's a learning management system as well on the back end. They can see the students' progress and check in on them and so forth. And I forgot to say, there is a meds gym, as we call it. Here we will say an expression like, if you want to sort of just go and chill out, we say, go hold a meds. Okay. So meds meaning meditation. Okay. And so there's
not medications, meditation.
No. Yeah. A meds gym, MEDZ. And that's where we teach them a little bit about mindfulness. And there are some, videos and audios that they can follow along and help them to relax. A lot of children are super anxious and depressed right now. Yeah. And so this is also an attempt to help them before it gets into a chronic or a really acute point where they may need meds.
Right.
Try that themselves, so it's them to manage themselves in a better way.
Yeah, I love that, because I don't know about Jamaica, but I know as far as me and my time frame in the US, that kind of all that kind of stuff was never really taught. It wasn't part of your curriculum in school.
No, definitely wasn't part of mine, and I don't think even up to now it is. Yeah, much of that. So, as I said, I mean, my philosophy is really an inside out one. And that doesn't matter whether I'm doing work with youth, whether adults, groups, organizations, leaders. It really starts from the inside out.
Nice. So if people wanted to get the app, or how can they get the app?
Yes, well, I suggest they contact me. They can have a look at it. It is ono.limitlesstransformationja.com. and they can go to the website and have a look there, and they can reach out to me personally. My email is liz@limitlesstransformationja.com or nlptrainingjamaica.com. And my WhatsApp number is 876-556-5177. Happy to
Nice.
reach out. I'm also on LinkedIn, Terry Elizabeth.
Terry Elizabeth, nice. So then we will make sure we put all of those contacts in the comments below and in the description so
Sure.
you will know how to reach out to Liz. But yeah, I want to thank you for taking the time to share with everybody what you do and how you can help. It's very, I love all the different perspectives and stuff. And the more people we can, get on board and help them, holistically, I think the better off we will be.
Absolutely. I'm so very aware of the kind of chaotic circumstances and environment we live in, and people are looking for stability. That's when we feel most comfortable, and that centering and that stability can only be found within us. So that's where I put my focus.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you, Liz, for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the
Yes.
time. And I encourage anyone that is within this community or watches this video to definitely reach out to Liz and check out what she has to offer. She's doing amazing work. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. It's been such a pleasure talking with you here today.
Thank you. And we will see you all next time.